Hello there. On tonight's programme.
The rise in abuse against hospital staff in Reading. The Royal Berks steps up efforts to clamp down.
Every time we come to work, one member of staff at least is a victim of violence or aggression. It just leaves you feeling scared to come into work.
Counting the cost of dine and dashers, the Hampshire restaurant left thousands out of pocket.
A very happy return to his former club as Reading's manager celebrates victory at Wigan.
And will there be a happy return of the sunshine? I'll be back a little later with the full forecast where you are.
Good evening. NHS staff in Reading say they're facing an alarming rise in violence and abuse from patients.
One nurse at the Royal Berkshire Hospital, who's been both verbally and physically assaulted, told us the attacks left her terrified to go to work.
Well, the Trust says there were around 900 cases reported by staff last year, which is why the hospital is now working with Thames Valley Police. Here's Mel Blaw.
Aggressive behaviour, unacceptable in any workplace. Yet this is an everyday reality in the NHS.
We experience violence and aggression, at least on a daily basis, from all different kinds of patients. But it's predominantly every time we come to work, one member of staff at least is a victim of violence or aggression from a patient or relatives as well. It just leaves you feeling scared to come into work.
Jess has been working at the Royal Berkshire Hospital for 7 years. As well as witnessing violence from patients, she has first-hand experience of it.
It's really frustrating because we're here to help, not to be hurt, as we say. And, you know, there's only so much we can do. And we come in to be nurses and doctors and healthcare assistants to help people. That's the reason that we do the job. And we don't deserve to be treated with such violence and aggression when we're just trying to do our job.
The scale, frequency and severity of the abuse faced by the hospital's workforce have reached disturbing levels. Attacks range from verbal threats to physical violence, including punching, kicking and spitting.
Around 900 incidents were reported last year, prompting the hospital to step up efforts to tackle the problem. It's now working more closely with Thames Valley Police as part of a campaign called Operation Cavell. Every incident of assault against staff will be reviewed by dedicated investigators with an understanding of healthcare environments to improve conviction rates and support victims.
We're really pleased that we're the first organisation in the NHS in Thames Valley to adopt this. But what it also requires from us is to make sure that we're supporting our staff in having the time to work with the police around reporting and providing the information, the data that they will need to be able to make a judgment about how they then address that with the particular individual.
These are people who are being victims of crimes that too often are tolerating it. They're people who are working long hours, whose sole purpose is to care for us at our time of need, and yet they are too often being subject to crimes, to violence and aggression, and that has to stop. So hence, Thames Valley Police is doing everything we can to ensure we deliver on that zero-tolerance approach.
I think it will be helpful and give us some sort of sense of security, maybe, that there is options there that can support us. Because we can't anticipate what's going to happen, but to know that we've got people that are there to support us and help to protect us, I think it's really reassuring.
It's hoped staff will soon be able to just focus on doing their job instead of worrying about being attacked by those they're caring for. Mel Blaw, ITV News, Reading.
Well, the new chief executive at the Royal Berkshire Hospital has been announced. James Blythe, who currently oversees hospital services across southwest London and Surrey, will begin his new role later this year. The current chief executive, Steve McManus, is stepping down after more than 9 years in the role and 38 years in the NHS.
Thames Valley Police are appealing for help after an assault in Oxford. 22-year-old Arba Sparta is wanted in connection with an attack on 2 men on New Year's Day outside Cafe Barber and Bodrum on Cowley Road. One of the men suffered a fractured jawbone and broken teeth. Officers are also looking to speak to these 3 men who they say may have information about the assault.
Fire Brigade Union members from across the country have marched in Oxford against proposed funding cuts.
Stop the cuts! Stop the cuts!
The consultation has now closed on the future of Oxfordshire's fire and rescue service, with proposals including the closure of 3 on-call fire stations. Oxfordshire County Council says it will analyse what people have said. It added the results will be published when details are ready to go before the council's cabinet. But the union says its members in Oxfordshire will now go to a vote on strike action.
What we want to see is investment in the fire service. You close a fire station, you cut the amount of firefighters that we've got, that will be an impact on the public. It means we get to incidents slower than we used to. The national average in Oxfordshire is 2.5 minutes slower than the national average anyway. So look, it's really dangerous. We want to see a stop to it. We want to see the county council stop it. We want to see a withdrawal of that, get central funding in and start fixing the fire and rescue service.
There are inconsistent experiences and outcomes for children and young people with special educational needs and disabilities in Buckinghamshire. It's according to Ofsted inspectors. Well, they reviewed the Buckinghamshire Local Area Partnership that includes the council and said it must work jointly to make improvements. The council said it acknowledged there's more work to do amid growing demand.
Rent for council tenants in Swindon is expected to increase by 4.8% from April the 1st. The Borough Council's cabinet has agreed on the rise, but it's still to be approved by the full council. The authority says the increase is in line with what other councils are doing across the southwest.
A new portrait of Malala Yousafzai has been unveiled at her former college at the University of Oxford. The youngest ever Nobel Peace Prize winner was given the honour for her work promoting the right to education for girls. She's campaigned tirelessly since being shot at the age of just 15 by the Taliban. She went on to study philosophy, politics and economics at Lady Margaret Hall in Oxford, graduating in 2020. The portrait was painted by artist Isabella Watling and was commissioned by the college in partnership with the Oxford-Pakistan programme.
You're watching ITV News Meridian here in the Thames Valley. Coming up on the programme, Philippa is here with the weather forecast.
I've got to say, if it's all rain again, I might sort of...
It's got to change at the weekend, it has to.
It's got to change. More from us, of course, online. The website, as ever, itv.com/Meridian. You can call us if you have a story we ought to be covering. 0808 10 10 095 is our number. And as ever, you can follow us right across social media.
A restaurateur in Hampshire says he has lost thousands of pounds to dine and dashers, people who don't pay for the food and drinks that they've ordered.
Relentless near Portsmouth has been targeted dozens of times since the pandemic, with the most recent case costing the restaurant almost £200. With more, here's Harry Acton.
The moment a diner walks out, leaving an unpaid bill behind. He was one of 2 customers who ordered £170 worth of food and drink during a lunchtime meal. Neither one of them paid. It's left Relentless Steak and Lobster House in Port Solent counting the cost of dine and dashers. Over the years, they've lost thousands of pounds to people not paying their bill, hitting the independent business hard.
And they've ate their main courses and then they said, oh, it's lovely and we want some more food. So they started to order oysters, 3 oysters, then 6 oysters, then another 3 oysters, 2 rounds of scallops, and then another lot of oysters, and go on for it, as well as having like double shot and spirits behind the bar with the mixers.
They do have a prepayment system in place to try and tackle this behaviour. The diners did pay for their first course, but everything ordered after it was put on a tab.
They've gone outside and said, oh, we have 1 more scallops. So she's gone, yeah, no problem, walked over to the kitchen, just let Jack know, the chef, that we need 1 more scallops, and then go and put it through the till. While that's happened, she's walked over to the pass just to say, oh, we've got 1 more coming through. They've walked out the unit for the supposed vape and then walked off.
And it's a growing issue. They've lost nearly £10,000 since the pandemic. The toll not only hitting their finances, but also the hard-working staff, who, when they confront customers, get abuse.
Got bills that are stapled on our office wall of people walking out. And it's disheartening for the staff, because what happens is the staff have done it, the staff have tried to stop them, in the restaurant, before this dine and dash them doing the runner occurred, they would argue in the restaurant and say they're not paying it, and it would be a specific clientele what do it. It's not the average person.
Hampshire Police said it received a report 2 men left a restaurant on the boardwalk without paying and has launched an investigation. It says inquiries are ongoing. Scott hopes things will improve, but fears unless more is done to support restaurants and tackle this sort of behaviour, diners will continue to take advantage. Harry Acton, ITV News, Port Solent.
Now the ITV Evening News continues with the national and international stories at 6:30. With more, here's Charlotte Hawkins.
9 killed and dozens injured in a school shooting in Canada. The tight-knit community of Tumbler Ridge is reeling with mass shootings incredibly rare. The Prime Minister says another one of his key appointments didn't tell him the truth as he faces more questions and criticism over the Mandelson scandal and his judgment more widely. And the Robbie Williams fan who finally got her call answered 30 years later. Join me for those stories and more at 6:30.
And we'll have more on the Prime Minister in just a minute. But first, a reality TV star who grew up in Berkshire has taken her campaign for better maternity care to Parliament.
Yes, Made in Chelsea's Louise Thompson is calling on the government to appoint a maternity commissioner. Let's go to Westminster and talk to our political correspondent, Kit Bradshaw. Kit, Louise Thompson joined a rally there earlier.
Yes, Matt, and of course failings in maternity care is something we've covered on the programme many times, be it at the John Radcliffe in Oxford or University Hospital's Sussex Trust. But today, dozens of women came here to Westminster with a specific call, a call for a maternity commissioner to be appointed. The placards and banners they held pointed to the 140,000 people who've signed an online petition backing that call. And one of the leading campaigners, as you say, is the Made in Chelsea star Louise Thompson, who went to school in Newbury. Now, she suffered a traumatic birth several years ago and wants change.
Women deserve to be heard. We deserve equal treatment and maternity. And from someone that has experienced, sadly, I've spent a bunch of time in hospital. I've experienced different departments in hospital. I've had gastrosurgeries. The care is a lot better. This is a maternity issue. It's a women's issue. And we deserve fair treatment.
Well, in response to that petition, the Department of Health said they had no plans to appoint a maternity commissioner, but they did point to the fact that they've set up an independent maternity investigation led by Baroness Amos, which is due to report in the spring.
And Kit, it's definitely been a busy few days politically there for the Prime Minister.
Yes, it's fair to say at this time on Monday, it was looking like Sir Keir Starmer was on his way out of Downing Street, given the unhappiness in the parliamentary party. The Crawley MP Peter Lamb told me on Monday that he needed to set out a timetable for departure, but he clung on. And today he told Parliament he was fighting on.
He is mired in yet another scandal. Does he ever look in the mirror and ask himself, is the real problem staring him in the face?
Mr. Speaker, I delivered a landslide victory for our government. Only 4 people have ever led the Labour Party to victory in a general election. I am one of them.
On Monday, many MPs loyal to Sir Keir weren't responding to my text. That's how you knew the Prime Minister was in trouble, or how I knew anyway. But today they were more than happy to row in behind their leader.
What we need is the Parliamentary Labour Party to unite behind the Prime Minister and focus on our constituents' concerns. We had too much chaos under the previous administrations. We need a government that's focused on people's priorities and their concerns and ensure that we can turn the economy around, public services around, and that's where our focus needs to be.
But Sir Keir is politically wounded. He's lost his Chief of Staff, his Communications Director, and it looks like maybe losing the most senior civil servant in the Cabinet Office. And as MPs prepare to head back to their constituencies tomorrow for the half-term break, it may be the verdict of voters on the doorstep that decides how much longer Sir Keir's backbenchers are willing to give him to turn things around.
Kit, I still can't believe they're not returning your texts. That's just rude. Thank you very much indeed. We will catch up again soon. Cheers, Kit.
And sport with Sarah Gom. And Sarah, a roller coaster of emotions last night.
Yes, it really was, Stacey. Thank you. Yes, I know it's a well-worn cliche to describe a match as a game of two halves, but in the case of Southampton's clash with Leicester City last night, it is entirely accurate. 3-0 down at the break, Saints stunned fans to win 4-3. Their goals coming up. First, though, victory for Bournemouth, thanks again in no small part to the new kid in town.
Powering local sport in the community. Octopus Energy sponsors ITV Regional Sports Report.
Brazilian teenager Ryan continued his near-perfect start to life on the South Coast, helping Bournemouth defeat 10-man Everton after going a goal down. He looks to be worth his £24.7 million price tag, scoring in a consecutive match to cancel out Everton's lead, before Amin Adli put Bournemouth ahead just moments later. Southampton boss Tonda Eckert said it was tough to find the right words to describe this match, eventually managing to acknowledge it as one of those nights that is very special. Saints were 3 down against a Leicester side whose supporters began to chant "We want 9" in a bid to replicate their record-breaking victory at St Mary's back in 2019. In a remarkable comeback though, substitute Ross Stewart, captain Jack Stevens, Ryan Manning and Shea Charles sent their opponents into a stunned silence and sent themselves to within a point of the playoffs. A very different story for Oxford United, with boss Matt Bloomfield saying his players looked emotionally drained after this 3-0 defeat at home to Norwich City. In League One though, Reading boss Liam Richardson celebrated a winning return to his former club Wigan with a 2-1 victory. Jeriel Dorset headed home from close range and Powdy O'Connor grabbed the winner just 3 minutes from time. Crawley Town's frustrating night at home to Cambridge United ended in defeat, leaving the Reds 5 points clear of the relegation places. An incredible night for Southampton there, and they play Leicester again on Saturday in the FA Cup. Right, looking ahead to tonight now, and Brighton boss Fabian Hersler says he and his team know there needs to be a reaction to the weekend's disappointing result against Crystal Palace when the Albion play Aston Villa. The teams meet at Villa Park tonight, with the Seagulls seeking what would be only their second win in 13 matches. So let's hope they can get a positive result tonight.
Absolutely. Sarah, thank you.
Thank you.
Now there's just time to tell you about tomorrow's programme, when we'll be talking to the singer Matt Goss. Do you remember him from the 80s pop band Bros? And he grew up in Camberley.
Well, he's heading to the South Coast for retro festival Let's Rock Southampton at St Mary's Stadium. He spoke exclusively to Natalie Bohr and they took a trip down memory lane.
The Bros Mania was extraordinary at times. You know, you had thousands of people waiting for you at venues, people camped outside your mum's house. Did you embrace it all, or was it overwhelming and sometimes a bit scary?
I think all of the above. I think that I've never felt like a complaining celebrity, you know, like I've always felt very, very grateful, but I didn't join a band to, you know, search for mediocrity. You know, Bros was a juggernaut in the pop world, and it was all over the world, and it was really fun. It was terrifying at times, you know, because it was just like all was happening everywhere you went. Like you couldn't go anywhere without, you know, that's why they called it Bros Mania. It was absolutely manic everywhere.
At Bros's Southampton concert, 10 girls were taken to hospital overcome with hysteria. There were no casualties at Brighton.
No casualties. Crazy, wasn't it? They were so big in their time.
So that's coming up on the programme tomorrow on the programme. Now, people's here to talk about the weather. I know something more positive in a minute, but first you've got some fairly nasty pictures to show us of the flooding.
Yeah, so we've got some footage from one of our camera operators, Steph. She was out and about in Fording Bridge today, and I think you can see here the River Avon. It's so high. It's burst its banks in many places, so it's sort of overwhelmed pathways, roads. This is the George pub, only keeping the river at bay thanks to some well-placed flood boards. And of course, the river levels continuing to rise at the moment. Groundwater levels are really high. We've got more rain to come. Always a bit of lag on the rivers, but at least the ducks are enjoying it, hey?
Yeah, not great, is it? But again, you did promise something slightly better towards the end of the week. Is that still stands?
Yeah, it's still on the cards. We will skip across any rain that might be coming our way tomorrow and Friday. Let's take a look at Saturday. This is the pressure chart for midday on Saturday. You can see that little bump in the pressure lines across the UK. That is all attached to a big old area of high pressure, this time down towards the southwest. It promises to bring us much drier conditions, hopefully some beautiful sunshine, but quite a crisp feel to things. For now, we've still got mild southwesterly winds. By Saturday, they'll be coming from the north, and that in turn will potentially bring some wintry hazards too.
A breezy morning will be followed up with a flurry of fresh delights for lunch. TUI sponsors ITV Meridian weather.
Well, yes, we do still have some unsettled conditions on the whole over the coming days, but Saturday offering that welcome respite, something drier, brighter, but with it somewhat chillier too. For now, we've got some more rain currently working its way up from the English Channel. It will scoot away eastwards as the night wears on, though, then drier for a time, perhaps some mist and fog patches forming. And then you can see later in the night, cloud thickens once again with some further outbreaks of rain on the way. But temperatures still very mild for the time of year, and that will lead us into a mild but rather gloomy start for many once again tomorrow. So generally a lot of cloud on the scene as we head through Thursday. Further outbreaks of rain. There will be some brightness, mainly up towards the north initially and perhaps down towards the southwest later, but certainly make the most of it where you find it. Now, as we head overnight into Friday, things remain unsettled. Low pressure still very close by, so still lots of cloud, further showers or longer spells of rain. But we are holding out for Saturday. It should be a much drier day, hopefully some lovely sunshine, but there will be quite a chill in the air too. Bye-bye for now.
TUI sponsors ITV Meridian weather.
I'm going to start making plans now for Saturday. It's our only chance, isn't it?
All your plans.
All your plans.
Every plan.
In just a moment, the ITV Evening News. That's with Charlotte Hawkins.
That is it from us for this evening. Thank you very much for watching. We will see you very soon. Take care. Bye-bye.
Good night.